TNA officials, not sufficiently satisfied with proof provided by Ring of Honor that Rob Feinstein is no longer involved with the promotion, pulled all of its contracted talent from future Ring of Honor dates. Wrestlers affected by the decision include ROH headliners AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, who are under TNA contract, and other wrestlers such as Chris Sabin, Jerry Lynn, Sanjay Dutt, and The Amazing Red, who have to choose between both promotions. TNA asked ROH booker Gabe Sapolsky to sign a document stating he would be personally liable for damages TNA might suffer should it be revealed that Feinstein were still involved with Ring of Honor now or any time in the future. Sapolsky directed TNA officials to Doug Gentry, because Sapolsky was only booker, not owner, whom ROH now say is 100% owner of the company, despite the fact that silent investor Kerry Silkin is also involved. Gentry did sign the document. TNA officials, though, also wanted ROH's silent investor Kerry Silkin to sign the document with similar assurances. Silkin refused, apparently because his attorney felt the wording was too broad and because Silkin is just an investor, not an owner, and wouldn't have control over whether Feinstein did return to the company in the future. TNA announced 2 days later, on April 9th, that all of its contracted talent was prohibited from working ROH, resulting in ROH having to reshuffle its lineups for the April 23rd and 24th shows. So we were talking about this last month, that all the Rob Feinstein scandal put TNA in a position where they did not want it to jeopardize potentially their TV deal. There's also a little bit of speculation that this was inevitable and TNA are just using this as the excuse now to do this, because they want people like Styles and Daniels to be exclusive to them, which there's probably a little of that too.
Well, I remember that being definitely a thing that I've heard before. It is interesting timing for it all as well. And it's like, we're going to be on television now. We want to associate these guys with our brand. We don't want to be hyping up someone else's stuff. They might have outlived their purpose, they feel, at this point. Because when TNA was first signing up, it was probably good that you have an AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, a Loki out there making big names in Ring of Honor, because that helps hype up your own company. But now it feels that Impact has so thoroughly eclipsed ROH at this point that I could see them not seeing that value anymore.
And there is multiple reports that there's a little bit of jealousy about the degree to which people feel fondly about the likes of Styles and Daniels in ROH versus how they feel about them in TNA. And instead of looking within themselves and thinking about, well, why do they like AJ more?
Maybe it's because our shows kind of suck.
Yeah, maybe it's because we don't book them particularly well a lot of the time. What about that?
And we don't dedicate a lot of time to them having good professional wrestling performances.
No, it's just the fans who are wrong, Liam. It's not, in fact, their booking that's wrong. It's the fans who are wrong in this instance. And they shouldn't be going on the internet raving about what Styles has done in Ring of Honor. They should be doing it about TNA. Because that is the funny thing. TNA is the bigger quote-unquote company here. But also they are still like obsessed with internet validation because that's how small the audience is. That really, that's the only way they get the validation is from people being like good, bad on the internet. So they desperately want it, but they don't get it, and Ring of Honor get it, and they're a little jealous.
TNA is an interesting company because I feel like at this point, within the business, it is clearly associated as the bigger time option, but as far as like output and reaction from fans, it's very much not, you know what I mean? Like, it is considered quite small league, independent of everything else, but as like, workers in the business, it's like, well, this is the other place to make money now. So it already has like that cachet.
And it's Stone Cold Steve Austin leaves WWE this month, like free agent without a contract. And there's a note in the PW Torch that were this to happen in 1998, it would be an industry shifting thing, that the biggest star left. But because it's happening in 2004, and there's nowhere really for Austin to go, it's just a thing that happened. He might go back, he might not, but is it going to change the face of professional wrestling? Absolutely not.
Should have gone to Ring of Honor.
He should have. And like, there's the other side, like when you look at business models, TNA is a bigger platform than Ring of Honor, especially when they get on television, that is undeniable. But if you were to look at 2004 TNA and 2004 Ring of Honor and ask which at that very moment is the more sustainable business model, it's Ring of Honor by a landslide.
See, I don't know if that's necessary. Okay, it may be a more sustainable business model. I don't think either company is being sustainable at this point.
That's true.
The only reason I'd say that TNA is more is because they have the financial backing of Panda.
But they're also losing more money.
That is true, but Ring of Honor isn't making any money on any of their shows either.
And TNA is about to buy time on television and then start taping twice a week. So they're going to start losing even more money again.
Yeah, but they have that money to lose.
That's true.
Ring of Honor is just losing money.
Mm.
So I think neither company are in great financial positions right now. At least Impact has corporate backing.
This is the healthy post-WCW pro wrestling landscape. And it's like, which company that's losing money might actually survive? Which turns out both of them. So it worked out pretty well, but...
We're seeing a bit of that now with in Japan, where it's like a lot of these Japanese companies have the corporate backing now, but they're just eating like their funds.
Mm.
Like DDT and Noah are both like just taking money out of Cyber Agent completely. But like that's just something that they're willing. Same with Bushiroad even. Like Stardom and New Japan are obviously doing much better than those other companies, but they're still, it's a big cost.
Well, they're profitable though.
I think one of them wasn't.
Well, or like New Japan is fair enough. The pandemic might have changed that in recent years.
Oh, New Japan were like year over year was crushing their stuff. They were beating their all-time records even at like their previous peaks.
And I think that like Bushiroad very much understand that if New Japan are not currently profitable, it has very little to do with New Japan.
Yeah, I think I don't know how we got into this discussion, but much like, attendance numbers in Japan and stuff right now, you all kind of just have to wait until complete normalcy is returned.
Till people can hoot and holler.
Yes, end of the month.
Which, as it turns out, was not last weekend.
Oh, I'm so pissed. Don't even want to talk about it.
When Silken refused to sign on April 9th, both sides got together and released joint statements saying the talent would not be appearing on ROH shows and agreed to leave it at that because neither side wanted to turn this into a controversy. However, within hours, there was heat on both sides. Bob Ryder, on his One Wrestling website, released the document Silken refused to sign and went into detail of the TNA perspective, intimating it showed Feinstein was still in the company. So like there was a little bit of their argument here that because Silken refused to sign, that's actually suggestive that Feinstein is still there, as opposed to, I do not want to sign something where the wording is that I will be liable for all losses.
Yeah, well that's the thing, right? Is you see that stuff a lot where it's like as soon as because that's the assumption people are going to go with straight away. I forget who the name of the guy was, but the guy who was trying to organize the big K1 and Rise kickboxing event in the Tokyo Dome recently had like a whole thing where they lost their Fuji TV deal. And he was like, because there was a whole like Yakuza scandal, thing that happened around the same time. Not with him directly, I don't think, but that's how iffy they all are about that sort of relation stuff. He was like, if it makes it easier, I will leave my position as long as this show can run. And then he was very quick to clarify that in no way makes me confessing to any sort of relations to the Yakuza. He had to like blow that up real quickly with that.
It's like, I will do the best thing for this show, but also I'm not in the Yakuza.
I swear to God.
So yeah, they're like, look, he didn't sign. He clearly Feinstein's still involved, rather than the whole, again, all losses. This is a thing I probably wouldn't sign either. But
well, yeah, and his lawyer did make a point of like, well, what if they bring him back? He might be gone now, but what if like other people in the company make the decision to bring him back at some point? Then it's like, all right, well, you signed it.
And that, technically, even if, say, Kerry Silken divested from Ring of Honor, he did sign that thing that he would be responsible for losses from... So, like, even if he was no longer... He's still involved, he's still financially involved. Even if he, like, pulled out of involvement, wouldn't that piece of paper suggest that even if he had nothing to do with Ring of Honor, nothing to do whatsoever, even financially, that he would still be liable then? Which would be ridiculous?
I don't know. Also, let's be real. This is TNA lawyers. They're probably not going to... You can probably fight them on it if you really had to. Oh no, unless it's Panda lawyers.
Sapolsky claimed it was an issue of personal liability and that Silken, as an investor and silent partner, signing the document would make as much sense as getting a WWE major stockholder to sign a document to put his own personal liability if it was shown somebody purported to be gone really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's the difference between a public and private company, which isn't a direct comparison, Gabe, but still. Then Dave in The Observer goes into the history of TNA lying about Vince Russo as an example, as the reason they would be skeptical about why somebody would be gone when they're not potentially gone. The whole dance they did where Russo wanted to keep his money from Time Warner and keeping Time Warner defending him against the Hulk Hogan lawsuit, but they would only do it if he wasn't involved in wrestling. So they lied about him being involved for the early days so that they could eventually, and because people would be mad that Russo's involved in the company, that part too, until the second that trial was over and suddenly they announced Russo.
TNA lying about being involved with Vince Russo?
It's very unusual.
Becomes a bit of a habit for them.
Apparently, Jarrett would downplay Ryder's involvement in the early days. They'd lie about like the source of finance of the company. So the TNA, well used to lying themselves, do not trust any wrestling company. And to be fair, most wrestling companies lie anyway, so they're probably right and they're not trusting.
Can't bullshit a bullshitter, as they say.
Regarding the ROH controversy, Tom Chiappetta of FSN stated that reports that FSN had any concerns over wrestlers appearing for ROH is untrue. We have nothing to do with TNA and Ring of Honor's dispute, he said. We are simply just airing the shows. TNA is paying us, and we have no say in which wrestlers are involved. Only the content must be family friendly for an afternoon show.
Yeah, Goldilocks' character is really family friendly.
Yeah, she's not going to make it to TV like that.
She probably shouldn't have made it to pay-per-view.
No, well, racist Goldilocks.
Goldie.
In at least an instance of TNA doing the right thing, it has been reported that TNA officials are going to pay AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, and Christopher Daniels what they were going to earn for the Ring of Honor dates on the 23rd and 24th, so that at least they wouldn't be out of pocket for the dates that they were already scheduled and announced for.
Doesn't include their merch or anything, though.
Well, no, but still. Did they do merch tables then?
That was literally just... Well, they did merch tables, but I think that was more like DVDs and Ring of Honor based stuff and our video stuff.
Yeah, it would have been the company merch table. It wouldn't have been like Daniel sets up his table before the show.
Cabana hadn't started the whole industry yet.
Yeah, he hadn't instilled the financial backbone of independent wrestling.
Hey, that guy should probably be like way richer.
He really should. He absolutely should, because not only did he basically launch the wrestling podcast boom, which is just a whole annoying business in and of itself these days, says man on a wrestling podcast.
True.
But he also launched the entire like indie wrestling business model. So
yep, pretty wild, huh?
Give that man millions of dollars, please.
I'm sure he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he's doing fine. TNA wrestlers say the situation with Ring of Honor isn't a big topic of discussion in the locker room, mostly because most of them don't work for Ring of Honor.
Yeah. It's AJ and Daniel's like, oh, that's pretty fucked up, huh?
Whereas Glenn is like, these nerds work at these indie shows in the disco halls.
The disco halls.
The disco halls, yes, that's what they're known as. They're disco halls.
That's what I'm going to call the asylum from now on.
It's the disco hall. One wrestler sounded off on TNA over the issues of the office not allowing wrestlers to work Ring of Honor events. When you have Bob Ryder behind it, there's jealousy because of our guys work for Ring of Honor and come back singing its praises in the locker room. Bob has always been jealous that Ring of Honor became internet darlings, and now he has to bust their balls and make their life difficult for them. And based on what I've seen and heard, Ryder is a hypocrite. So again, going back to that little bit of jealousy, perhaps fueling this as well.
I can't believe that they don't see that and be like, maybe if we booked our shows a little differently,
Yeah.
we would get that credit, because people clearly want to give that credit out.
And in fair, when you go to 2005, that's what they do, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I'm so excited for 2005 because I have no knowledge about it.